Okay, I'm Mary Brooks Beatty, and I am running for at-large DC Council. And my background is that I have served as an ANC commissioner in Ward 6, where I live. I've lived there for about 13 years, and have been an ANC commissioner there for about 6 years. I was one of the people who led on the H Street development, and so understand a lot of the concerns that you have. It was also a great street, and I was one of the people who kind of looked at some of the root causes as to why that wasn't being developed, even though we had funding, even though it was basically, we had already gotten kind of the planning done on it. But the reason that it wasn't still developing after 30 years was because we had a lot of crime on that street. So I got involved in trying to reduce that crime. We were very successful in doing that, and now it's called an urban miracle. So those are the kinds of things, that's kind of experience and real kind of record that I have within my ANC that I want to bring to the city at large. In addition to working on the ANC and being active in my community for 6 years, my professional background is in executive leadership and policy and legislative. And I was just about to quote you, so now I can't steal your quote. But anyway, he often, Vincent Orange, Councilman Orange often says that he knows how to count to 7. And I love that quote, and I use that quote a lot because I also have worked in legislation and in policy throughout my life. So I do understand how you have to be collaborative to get things done, how you really have to put some ideas together and bring people to the table, but also respecting the community, also bringing them to the table. I'm getting the click, so I'll sit down, but I hope that we can talk with questions.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wilcox. I've been up here, I think last spring we were here for the primary campaign. I'm also running in the at-large seat. I represent the Statehood Green Party. We have a number of Statehood Greens up in Ward 5 in Brookland. And I also remember Paul Washington. He was a great community activist and leader. I'm a lawyer. I graduated from AU Law School, and I served on the school board back in the mid-90s. A lot of you remember Angie Corley. She was my colleague on the school board. Worked, of course, with Harry Thomas Sr. and others in district government. It was a great experience to learn more about our schools and youth, which is obviously something we should all work on. And this is a great recreation center, which is a center for the youth. I also was on the Commission for Women, appointed by Mayor Sharon Pratt Kelly, and have been active on statehood issues. Again, I'm a member of the Statehood Green Party. I live over near Logan Circles, but I've also lived in Columbia Heights and Capitol Hill and a couple of other neighborhoods in our city. I've worked more recently with the Occupy movement, so I know you see them marching around. And I know there are a number of important issues in this area, not dumping a lot of environmental hazards, the trash transfer station, and so forth. So if I was elected to council, I would certainly want to work with you on those. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is David Grosso, and I appreciate you all coming out tonight. It's really great to see the interest in this race, and it's a very important race. I was born in the District of Columbia. Spent the first part of my life living on a farm in Virginia. Moved back in when I was a teenager to the Petworth community on Rock Creek Church Road, where my mom still lives today. You know, I worked for a period of time in Colonel Brooks Tavern over here in Brookland when I was a teenager, and now live in Brookland. I've been there since 1999. A little bit of background on where I come from in my education. I went to Earlham College, which is a small Quaker school in Indiana, and ultimately Georgetown Law School. After Georgetown, I worked with Councilmember Ambrose, Sharon Ambrose from Ward 6. Worked with her for 6 years on the City Council doing a variety of issues, and ultimately ended up with Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. I was her chief counsel in a time when we were moving the voting rights forward at a pretty fast pace. If you remember the Utah Compromise we were trying to get through, that's when I was her chief counsel. I've been out in the private sector for about 4 years now, and decided that it was time to get back engaged and involved to try to bring a new day to the District of Columbia government. We've had enough issues in the government for us to deal with. We need to head back on the right path, so I'll be taking a break from my job, working full-time on the council, try to make a difference in the city. Looking forward to answering your questions. I have a website where all my issues are spelled out at grossoatlarge.com. And again, I appreciate you all coming out tonight.
Good evening. Chase. I'm the independent write-in candidate to be a chairman of the council. I am here to tell you the time is now. You must write me in if you want your interests protected. You can no longer vote for popular names, popular reasons. You must vote for your interests, for the person who will push your agenda. It's about you. The only reason why I'm here is because guess what? Someone forgot who they work for. Someone violated public trust. The federal government is now ready to step in and take over your city. You do not have the luxury or the opportunity to vote for the wrong person. Mr. Mendelson is okay, but guess what? He's a go along, get along. Go along, get along means what? Trouble. Here is your chance to allow me to go in there with the power that you will install so that I can handle this for you. Please write me in, Chief, Chairman of the Council.
Well, good evening, North Michigan Park. As you know, my name is Vincent Orange, and I currently serve as the at-large council member, and I also serve as the D.C. Democratic National Committee man. I'm here tonight just to say that our achievement and success continues in the areas of education, employment, economic development. We've worked so hard to bring Ward 5 a long way, and now I'm working for the city at large. I can tell you a lot of the work that we started almost 10, 12 years ago is coming to fruition, and we're being recognized for it. McKinley Technology High School will get an award from the President of the United States in November as a school of excellence. Their grades they're doing extremely well in terms of their grades. And as you know, we were in the forefront of starting school modernization because we stepped out and said McKinley Tech should be reopened, working with the community. In areas of recreation, we had the first recreation projects. This facility here, North Michigan Park Recreation Center, Turkey Thicket Recreation Center, Brentwood Recreation Center, and then the city followed. We were in the forefront of making sure that our children get books for their core subjects by the second week of school. And by the way, this year, the council finally passed my early childhood education curriculum that mandates that the school system must prepare our 3- and 4-year-olds for kindergarten, and that our children should be reading independently upon entering the 4th grade, and they should be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. This year we had a successful 150th anniversary of D.C. Emancipation Day this year. Just last week I held a very successful small business summit. And at the end of the day, we are pushing again to make sure that the D.C. dollar is circulated in the District of Columbia. As you know, I was chairman of the Committee on Government Operations. We exposed that the city was only spending $98 million with our small local businesses, whereas the law mandated that every agency must spend at least 50% of their budget with our small businesses. We took that spending from $98 million to $567 million. So I just end this by saying that we're looking for strong experience. We're looking for achievement and success to continue. If you go right down the street, we started with Home Depot and Giant. Now we've added the housing complex, 274 units of housing. 54 of those will be for affordable housing. There's 70 additional square feet of retail. Costco's will open this November. And you all know we held those economic development summits. Anything that was happening in this city came through us first. So I said, let us continue working together. I'm number 5 on the ballot, and I'm here tonight to ask you for your vote. Thank you.
Are there questions from the audience? And please indicate which candidate the question is directed to. If it's for all candidates, say that. If not, please name the candidate that your question is for. Any questions from the audience? Ms. Smith.
Miss Beatty, is it Beatty or Beatty?
It's Beatty.
Okay, Miss Beatty, you're a Republican,
That's
correct? And as you know, that down in the H Street area, there has been a serious influx and change as far as the culture. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. My name is Debbie Smith-Steiner, previous ANC commissioner, as well as worked as council member of Vincent Orange to reopen McKinley Technology High School. My question to you is that you claim that you have assisted and helped the H Street corridor to change in a rapid way, whereas you have a lot of bars and an influx of a lot of individuals from Virginia and Maryland coming in. How have you changed the lives of the disenfranchised individuals over there, as well as what is your feel, or as I understand it, when you was ANC commissioner, y'all was trying to push to get Horace and Dickey's, one of our strongest black establishments over there, closed. So I would like for you to address those things.
Okay, I'd be happy to. The development of H Street was a community.
Can she stand?
Let me stand. Yeah. The overall effort was a community effort within the H Street community. And we had so many meetings, and the attendance wasn't nearly as good as this, I must admit. But we had so many meetings about the direction of that development, and so it was something that the entire community wanted, because those were burned out buildings where there was a lot of crime, as I mentioned. And it was not useful space in the sense of, it had been a vibrant retail corridor, but for 30 years it sat there with vacant, abandoned buildings. The community wanted it developed, the entire community. I'm not saying part of the community wanted it developed, because it was clear the entire community wanted it developed. And so we listened to the community. That's what that ANC did. Just like your ANC commissioner was here, saying, tell us what you think. And so, it wasn't the ANC pushing it, and it wasn't one group of people pushing it over the objections of another group of people. It was a total community effort. So,
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, I know a lot of you from here. I don't. It's good to see you all. I enjoyed my time working with you, and I wouldn't be here if I wasn't concerned. But there are a number of different processes that have to go through City Council for issues that we care very deeply about. That if this community says no, can we count on your support if we say no?
Very good question.
Very good.
Can I be the first? Yes, you can count on me. That's what I've got. And then we have to do other measures to make them understand that they, all who were elected, work for you and the entire body here. I know that. I can appreciate that. Okay? No more of this going along, corporate interest money coming in. Okay, you call them up, they snob you, they turn you off. The very ones, oh, Pastor, let me in, let me in. Well, guess what? It's over. Send a message. I am your front. Send a message. End it. End it. Write me in. When a community speaks, steps up to the plate, puts the effort in to express how they feel about something, it's extremely important for all the elected officials to recognize that and to actually implement their desires, especially when it has to do with your neighborhood and your community. The other thing that I can tell you is that, when I worked with Councilmember Ambrose, one of the things she taught me was how to make sure that we were collaborating and bringing all the parties to the table so that we could have a fruitful discussion and so that we could work together to make sure that we got to the right answer. And you have to do that every time. You can't be distracted with other jobs. You can't be worried about what's happening, tomorrow. You have to be committed on that day to actually work with everybody so you can count on me.
I think it's one of the most important things about being a public servant. I really do consider this role to be a servant to the people, a representative of the people. So, it's not about my economic interests as some others on the council. It's not about my will. It's about your will. And so I absolutely think that transparency, and that's actually, our ANC was noted for its transparency and bringing all the community together and getting all of the comments, and I think the residents will.
Yes, of course, we would work to support your wishes. There are a lot of areas like Logan Circle felt they were getting a lot of homeless shelters, and Human Services dumped in their area. I know Ward 5, Mr. Warren just talked about the trash transfer station and some of the concerns about that. So obviously we in the Statehood Green Party would stand with them. We're always with the people. And I want to introduce Lino Stracuzzi, who's our candidate running against Mr. Norton.
Yes.
The one that people thought was from Costco. Thank you. He's not from Costco.